Hey.
You've introduced a physical element to that.
The bitch is back.
Yeah.
The bitch is back, Ed Campbell. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are
There's
you?
always a physical element. I'm great. Normally it's V for victory.
Oh, is that what you do?
Well,
Or like a Jude Bellingham?
you could say it's in homage to my boy. Yeah, you could say that.
You need to explain why Bellingham is your boy.
Because I'm a Birmingham City fan.
That's why.
Yeah, obviously.
Yeah.
But that time I went for a punch.
Yeah, it was good.
You like it?
Yeah, it was like
Energetic?
it was like you're like a high school American football player, and you just won state.
Are you into Birmingham?
You
Do not do this. I don't think people tune into this to listen to my takes on my championship football club. But
they've listened to worse, to be perfectly honest.
the sacking of John Eustace was a disgrace.
Are you not pro Rooney?
Not particularly.
Really?
Why would I be pro Wayne Rooney?
I don't know.
Because
As
of
a
Colleen?
patriotic Englishman.
Well, you're more of a Rebecca Vardy kind of guy.
That'll be really interesting when Birmingham play Leicester.
I respect Wayne Rooney's granny shagging antics, but I'm not sure I respect him as a manager.
Oh. But, you know, Vardy, his wife is a grass.
Yeah, you have a fantastic manager, and then you get rid of him to bring in a big name. We actually did it fairly recently as well with Gary Rowett and Gianfranco Zola, and it backfired spectacularly. So, yeah. Why did you say, are you a Birmingham guy? Like, was it part of the...
What are we talking about, rugby?
Yeah, right. There's your answer. So, the Golden Boy's here. He's back, and he's well, and Ava Santina's here as well, the CapitalJOE journalist. How are you, Ava?
Well, thanks for having me. I'm good.
Yep, great.
How annoyed can I make you in the first 3 minutes
You're getting there.
of the intro?
It's like a bingo.
We're
Sad
topping
thing
out.
is I'm just being myself. So what does that say? You know, I'm sorry that I'm not a walking beaver. Oh my God. Oh my God.
I'm beginning to wonder if it's deliberate. You do this so often now.
Something foul.
Jeez, I'm so
A
sorry.
joke neither of us can reply
It
to.
wasn't.
Yeah.
We can't join in this.
Ed, I appreciate your Argentina jersey. Las Malvinas Argentinas.
Yeah, I firmly disagree with that.
Do you?
Oh yeah, it's actually something I've realised I'm quite hawkish on the Falklands. Really bizarrely.
How?
How did I realise?
Yeah.
Because my cousin had lived in Argentina for like 3 months, and he was talking about he'd been told by other expats, American expats, just say you're American. They really don't like English people. And my cousin said, "Oh yeah, and quite rightly." And I was
I'm
like,
Scottish.
No, he is English.
Oh, he is
he's actually
English.
he's born in
Okay.
London, has an English accent.
Pathetic.
But then he tried to suggest that the Falklands was Britain's fault.
Right.
But I think if I was a military junta, I'd simply win a war. I think it's my most hawkish take.
So you're on the side of Prince Andrew in this?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Okay.
And the other royal family.
But-
And the other brave men who fought to defend sovereign
Where
territory.
the hell is this coming
What,
from?
like Jeremy Clarkson?
But he wasn't in the Falklands.
No, he did go to the Falklands on an episode of Top Gear, an ill-fated
He
episode.
also went to Vietnam.
He drove-
famously on an episode of Top Gear.
but he got in a
been.
lot of trouble in the Falklands,
Why?
particularly because he drove with like slogans on his car or something like that.
It's surreal to have you here being like a Falklands hawk in like a full Argentina strip,
There's going to be photos of me up in
which isn't you maintain to troll our Welsh colleague after the events of the rugby this weekend.
No, it's just a nice T-shirt.
It is a nice jersey, it has to be said.
Where are you
Is
on
that
Gibraltar?
Reminds Gibraltar. I think similar to Falklands.
Yeah?
I think.
British.
Yeah,
What, like if Spain wanted it, they would have worked a bit harder for it?
absolutely. You don't give up territory like that.
A big hunk of rock? It's got an M&S there.
And that's ours.
Yeah.
Is it embroidered?
That
Yeah.
sure is.
That's Pumas.
Quality.
Love that.
Absolutely. Do
I think he was waiting to say that.
you think you get a Gibraltar one as well? What other overseas territories are we coming out in favour of remaining British? Northern Ireland?
Jesus Christ.
Sweating. He's
That's-
Yeah, I'm sweating. Yeah.
That's our take.
Okay.
Don't give them back.
So let's move on to less
No
contentious Let's move on to less contentious territory and talk about the return of the Parliament and what they've spoken about in their first statement from the Prime Minister, right, on Israel-Palestine. Should we play the clip? Should we listen to what the Prime Minister, Rishi Sunak, had to say?
Yes.
Roll the clip.
The attacks in Israel last weekend shocked the world. Over 1,400 people murdered, one by one. Over 3,500 wounded. Almost 200 taken hostage. The elderly, men, women, children, babes in arms, murdered, mutilated, burned alive. We should call it by its name. It was a pogrom. Hamas simply does not stand for the future that the Palestinians want. And they seek to put the Palestinian people in harm's way. So we must ensure humanitarian support urgently reaches civilians in Gaza. This requires Egypt and Israel to allow in the aid that is so badly needed. We also need to keep the situation in the West Bank in the forefront of our minds at this moment of heightened sensitivity. Earlier today, I spoke to Mahmoud Abbas, the leader of the Palestinian Authority, to express our support for his efforts to provide stability. And third, we will use all the tools of British diplomacy to sustain the prospects of peace and stability in the region. Ultimately, that requires security for Israelis and Palestinians and a two-state solution. So we are increasing our regional engagement. I have spoken with Prime Minister Netanyahu twice in the last week, along with the United States, France, Germany, Italy, and others. My right honourable friend, the Foreign Secretary, was the first to visit Israel after the attacks. I met with His Majesty, the King of Jordan, yesterday, a long-time voice of reason and moderation. And I have spoken today with the leaders of Turkey and previously Egypt, and will speak to others in the coming days. Our partners in the region have asked us to play a role in preventing further escalation. That is what we will do. However hard it is, we need to ask the tough questions about how we can revive the long-term prospects for a two-state solution, for normalization and regional stability, not least because that is precisely what Hamas has been trying to kill. In conclusion, Mr. Speaker, unequivocally backing Israel's right to defend itself, stepping forward with humanitarian support, working to protect civilians from harm, and straining every sinew to keep the flame of peace and stability alive.
Ava, what did you think of the Prime Minister's statement there?
Yeah, well, we knew that we would... £3 million was already going to protect Jewish synagogues and schools here in the UK, but he announced £10 million of extra humanitarian aid for Palestine. They're also ensuring that supplies can get into there, talking about the border. He met with President Sisi to talk about how things are moving. Also that British citizens will get out, because that was a huge contentious topic with, well, I mean, not to overblow it, but that could lead to the breakdown of the union, because you've got Hamza Yusuf, who's got relatives in Gaza at the moment who can't leave, and there are British citizens who are stuck there. You know, if his family couldn't get out and the British government weren't doing anything to help them, I mean, the ramifications for the union of that would be extraordinary.
I think he said in his statement, didn't he, that 6 Britons have been killed and 10 are missing after Hamas's attack.
They've got flights going as well, 500 people they've brought out today on 8 flights.
And we're sending our military in that direction, aren't we? So helicopters and bits of the Navy as well.
But he stressed that at the end, that was not to assist with the, very careful with your language here, not to assist with the fight that is going on in Gaza, but it's purely humanitarian. It's to protect the stability of the Middle East. That's why he sent the Navy in.
Let's listen to what Keir Starmer had to say.
Mr. Speaker, there can be no doubt the responsibility for this crisis lies with Hamas. They have no interest in Palestinian rights, no interest in the security of the people of Gaza. They unleash terror, then hide among them women and children used as human shields, hostages held who should be released. They are destroyers of lives, of hope, of peace. And we cannot give them what they want. We must keep striving for a two-state solution, a Palestinian state alongside a safe and secure Israel. We cannot give up on that hope. Cannot let Hamas brutality be a catalyst for conflict in the wider region. Engagement between Israel and Arab nations must be strengthened, not abandoned. International cooperation, the rule of law, a political road to peace. Hamas want us to abandon all three, and in defiance, we must be resolute on all of them. Mr. Speaker, these attacks are having a huge impact on communities across the United Kingdom. Many in this House will have heard devastating stories from people who have lost friends and family, people deeply worried about the future of those they know in Israel or Palestine, including the First Minister of Scotland, who I spoke to at the weekend. We stand with all of them, stand against the worrying rise in Islamophobia, stand against the anti-Semitic abuse, threats and assaults we've seen on British streets. Because, Mr. Speaker, we must never underestimate the burden of history the Jewish people carry with them. I do not want Britain to be a place where Jewish schools are closed, Jewish children stay at home out of fear, and Jewish families feel compelled to hide their identity. And I do not want Britain to be a place where British Muslims feel that they have to apologise for the actions of people who do not act in their name. We cannot allow community cohesion in our country to be destroyed. We all bear a responsibility to do all we can to stamp out hate, and we fully support police action to provide extra assistance for our communities.
Ava, Keir Starmer, they're striking a, well, I would say a fair amount of agreement with the Prime Minister, Rishi Sunak. It was interesting, actually, wasn't it? When they did that Kunzberg set-piece interview thing, he said one of the first things when he was asked what he liked about the Prime Minister, Keir Starmer said that Rishi Sunak called him and they agreed that they should collaborate and broadly they should be in agreement when it comes to issues of security and foreign policy. And it would appear that in his response there, he's broadly striking a very similar tone to the Prime Minister.
Yeah, it would seem that the Labour Party were waiting for the Conservatives to decide what their broad approach to the situation would be. I mean, one of the first things that Sunak said was that there are Jewish people who we need to look after in the United Kingdom, and there are also Muslim communities who are appalled at Hamas, but equally are fearful of the response by Israel, and we need to protect those communities as well. And he said as well that, you know, you'd face the full face of the law if you're seen to be committing anti-Semitism or Islamophobia, which is a very different tone to, I think, what we've had over the past week. And Starmer seems to have fallen in line with that. So he said, you know, Hamas doesn't want to see peace in the Middle East. It wants to wipe it off the map, Israel. He equally said that the people in Palestine, in Gaza, are not Hamas. You know, Hamas are there, but not every Palestinian is Hamas. And you've got to protect them. Or you've got to wipe out Islamophobia in the UK, which is a marked different tone from Israel has the right to defend itself, which is what he said just a couple of days ago.
Yeah, that was his line, wasn't it, coming out of Labour Party conference was, I think he said herself.
He did, yeah.
He gendered Israel, which I found slightly unusual.
That was your most upset, yeah?
Yeah, that's the thing I was most upset about, yeah. But I know there was a huge storm in Westminster, right, about he was asked basically about the siege. He was asked about collective punishment, which is a war crime. And he said Israel has a right to defend herself, was his response to that question, which a lot of the media interpreted as him saying that he supported that action. He has changed tone now by talking about humanitarian corridors, humanitarian access, food, water and medicines.
See, what's interesting is the leaders seem to come out and say straight away, Israel has the right to protect herself. And then this kind of got dripped down. So for the Labour Party, Emily Thornberry backed that. Then David Lammy actually rode back on it. And he said, you cannot commit war crimes. He was one of the first shadow front bench to say it. And in the Conservative Party, I can't remember what's out or what, but I did speak to a couple of backbenchers, and their big concern was that by being as, you know, this rhetoric of the UK is friends with Israel, we are friends with Israel, you were potentially destabilising the Middle East, and you were allowing potential war crimes to go unchecked because no one was focusing on it. It seems very. I mean, we're going to hear it as well in a moment from. Why have I forgotten his name? I was going to say Stephen Flynn. We're going to hear from him that his big push was no collective punishment. I think his was the strongest, but
yeah. Roll the clip.
Mr. Speaker, Rabbie Burns once poignantly wrote that man's inhumanity to man makes countless thousands mourn. And it is with those words echoing in all of our hearts that we send our thoughts and our prayers to all of those suffering in the Middle East. The abhorrent terrorist attack by Hamas on the Jewish people in the Israeli state, it was a crime against our common humanity, and it must be condemned unequivocally. And what more powerful response can we have than to seek to protect the shared innocence and the shared humanity of both Israeli and Palestinian civilians? And what that will require is a lot. It will require the defeat of Hamas. It will require the safe return of all those hostages who have been taken. And it will require the opening of humanitarian corridors so that people can escape Gaza and aid get in. It will require medicine and water and electricity for hospitals so that people who are injured can be treated. It will require no collective punishment. In order to make all that happen, it will require international leadership and international diplomacy. On these isles, that responsibility will fall to the UK Prime Minister, and I very much wish him well in making that happen. And right across this chamber, we all need to be very, very conscious that history will judge us on our response, not just to these abhorrent attacks, but to the humanitarian crisis which is undoubtedly unfolding in Gaza. Let us not be on the wrong side of history.
I thought it was very poignant, that Stephen's speech.
Yeah.
I thought it was very emotive and measured. I know evaluating a politician's speaking style is redundant, but I thought it was very good speak. And he was speaking without notes as well. So it was very impressive. They always say that about good politicians, or politicians rather. It's impressive he spoke without notes, but I thought it was measured, and it was a refreshingly nuanced debate, especially given kind of the rhetoric between the parties recently. It's kind of heated up. Like Sunak didn't name something he liked about Starmer, but it's quite refreshing that they have not taken this as an opportunity to beat each other with, which in situations like this is more sensible.
Which is something that, it has to be said, I haven't really seen online. It's a weird one, right? Like, normally we're sat here going, God, I wish the quality of the debate in the House of Commons was up to the standard of other people outside of the chamber. And actually, in this instance, you're kind of seeing a small degree of nuance, or at least a greater degree of nuance than you're normally used to, in the way that watching the online discourse over the last couple of weeks, I don't know for you guys, my feed, I cannot move for what is basically snuff videos of people being killed in the Middle East.
Brilliant.
It is absolutely everywhere. And as a result of that, everyone is projecting and either saying that people are colonizers or that you sympathize with Hamas, when it's like, I'm sat here watching this, not as an expert in the region, and just going, this is horrifying. I'm utterly appalled by all of the action here. The amount of children that are being killed in this conflict is disgusting, and I struggle to actually kind of wrap my head around a lot of the online conversation around this. It is so toxic, to be quite honest with you. It's people are engaging in bad faith, projecting opinions onto their opponents that I don't think their opponents are actually saying. Whether either side, whether it's people who are supporting Israel or people who are supporting the Palestinians. If you're supporting the Palestinians, you're accused of being sympathising with Hamas, and if you're supporting Israel, you're accused of supporting colonizers and apartheid. And it's really dehumanizing, I think. And actually, I think that connects to sort of where we are right now. I think that connects to how, for example, Hamas is able to fly over the border and shoot a load of people at a music festival, how the IDF is able to drop bombs into a deep, densely concentrated area, is because each side has dehumanized the other. They no longer see them as people, and as a result of that, lots of people are dying, and actually large numbers of children are dying as well.
Mm-hmm. I think that was nicely summed up by Stephen Flynn. He said, crimes against our common humanity must be condemned unequivocally. Common humanity, it was like last week, we were talking about this in a TV studio, and there was a conversation about whether you should give aid to Palestine. And it just felt so ridiculous to be sitting in a West London studio, saying, well, I don't think that they should be allowed water. I mean, how can you possibly say something like that? How could you possibly deny like a child who is on life support in a hospital in either place, a right to live? I just find that extraordinary. But then that is the state of the algorithm, right? So that's what almost feels trivial to say algorithm in this context. But what has happened to Twitter is that the algorithm is now feeding you content that keeps you, in an enclave, in an echo chamber, and you are being served content that suits whatever you have previously engaged with. It's radicalizing people, not just on this. I mean, generally, it is radicalizing people in a way that I don't think we've ever seen on social media.
I think the content moderation, particularly on Twitter, has left a lot to be deserved. I mean, the amount of videos I've watched of, it's an issue with Ukraine, right? I couldn't, when Russia invaded Ukraine, I couldn't move for videos of like Russians being like literally exploded on camera. And, now I'm again watching videos of, Hamas fighters, terrorists getting shot to pieces, or some of the horrific stuff from the kibbutzes, or just buildings, exploding, right, in Gaza. And I really don't think most people should see those things.
No way.
I don't. Far be it from me to tell people what they can and can't watch, right? And actually, it's one of the reasons why I haven't been using Twitter that much, because I don't like seeing those videos. I don't think it's good for you to watch stuff like that. But it's everywhere.
Yeah,
like it's literally everywhere. You can't move for it. And I think there's a marked difference between pre-Musk and post-Musk, and the type of content that's being shared there, not only in its graphic nature, but also actually in some instances as well, the misinformation, videos that are maybe 5 or 6 or 7 years old being posted as, X has just happened.
But then also there's the flip side, in which legitimate videos from the conflict are being wrongly discredited, as it's like, because the news verification team was now disbanded at Twitter. Like they did something about their news coverage internally. They got rid of a team that.
Oh yeah, I knew a girl who was working on that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she did get. They did get disbanded.
So now they rely on the community notes app, which, believe it or not, can be used in bad faith. So it's the whole thing is just a mess, because it's the whole conflict is so new as well.
Yeah, and I think most sensible people aren't engaging in this. Like, they're not calling it whataboutery to say it is disgraceful that Jewish school children can't go to school, but it's also disgraceful that young Muslim children can't go to school because they're frightened. It is equally, you can say this is disgusting that is happening in the UK's capital city. Equally. It's not whataboutery.
There's also as well, it's the assumption that someone does not believe one thing if they express the other.
Yeah.
Which is incredibly bad faith. And it's just point scoring. That's why I think it's incredibly, like, it's the point. I think social media is actually quite bad, but like, it's this people posting atrocities committed by either side as like point scoring is just incredibly bad taste.
Yeah,
but it's also about knowing when to speak and when to not. Right. So if you're not a foreign correspondent, you're not there, you're not involved in it. I think becoming a citizen journalist, not verifying any of the content that you're watching, but sharing it and not
uncritically.
Yes, uncritically.
If you're a leader writer.
Yeah, but not looking for any evidence, not looking for any. CNN spend a hell of a lot of money geolocating every video before they put it online. I think they did actually make a mistake over the weekend, but for the broadly, they do geolocate every video that they've used. That's the sort of news source you need to be looking at. But then that probably says a lot about what we've done to the media landscape over the past few years. We've discredited the establishment so much, and they do make mistakes. And you do need citizen journalists sometimes, but not some guy who's sitting in his bedroom just aimlessly retweeting.
Think how different it was during the Arab Spring 10 years ago, when Twitter was a genuinely useful resource for news gathering and broadcasting, when it was like a timeline of news and tweets, and you could follow informed, interested parties. And then you've got like engagement bait, people who are being paid for the content, posting the most shocking videos with absolutely no, and it's like you said before, it's algorithmic now. It's not. It's like the Reddit front page or the YouTube search, which isn't a timeline feature. It's become really crap as a journalistic tool.
Yeah, I think it's also. I feel like I should make this qualification, but we're sort of talking about what's happening there via the lens of how we're seeing it on Twitter. But that's kind of to the point you've just made, right? Like that is the way that we're seeing this conflict play out, because none of us are fucking there. You know what I mean? Like I feel like I can only talk about the conversation around it because I'm not there watching what's happening. I'm not an expert in there in what's happening. So feels slightly strange to be talking about it in sort of from a discourse perspective, but I think it's really the only one I can actually speak to with any accuracy.
Nice shout out for Robert Burns during Stephen Flynn's statement.
Kind of.
You'd like that, wouldn't you?
I thought, was it twee?
Did you think?
No, it wasn't. That's a bad faith interpretation. No.
Man's inhumanity to man makes countless thousands mourn.
Yes.
I thought that was.
No, it's true, but
good
it's like,
summation.
it's when like SNP politicians just all wear tartan, like all the time. We get it, lads.
Unless your name's Lisa Cameron, in which case you burn your tartan.
You burn your tartan.
Can I add
a
a context note? What are they called again?
community note?
Can I add a community note
It's
to
a
that?
live verification feedback.
Yes.
Fresh from the verification desk.
Ed Campbell, the golden boy, wore tartan to a Westminster Correspondents' Dinner the other week. He looked wonderful.
Thank you.
But it's just interesting to see you snubbing the tartan now.
No, my point is
You only wear tartan when you're glad handing with the Westminster government.
absolutely.
Don't you?
Well, I wore tartan in an appropriate. Well, actually, there's no inappropriate context for a tartan. But my point is,
So what do you say?
I say they wear it a lot, and it's kind of cringe.
Right.
Being like, I'm Scottish. We get
Wear
it.
an
guys.
Argentina jersey like everyone else.
Yeah.
But
Like all true Scots.
But like, we get it, guys. And when people there's a really funny bit. Quite a few MSPs. You can speak in Scots in the Scottish Parliament. It's like what one of the official languages. But sometimes they really shoehorn it in, and they refer to the European Charter of Human Rights,
Right.
as opposed to Charter, which in some ways can be performative.
He also said that the events of last week in Israel were a pogrom.
Yeah, well, it's the single highest amount of Jews killed in a single day since the Holocaust. So I think it's emotive language, isn't it? But I don't know if you can't describe it in any other terms, right? If people are killing Jews indiscriminately, then that is what a pogrom is. And then just a final line on this story. So stats from the BBC. Israel's military has updated the number of people it believes are being held hostage in Gaza, up from 155 to 199. They were kidnapped last week when Hamas gunmen infiltrated Israel and killed over 1,400 people. More than 2,700 people in Gaza have been killed in retaliatory airstrikes by Israel, which is also blocking fuel, water, food and medicinal supplies from entering the territory. Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and Hamas have denied earlier reports by Reuters of a truce to allow some people out of Gaza and aid in via the Rafah crossing with Egypt.
Yeah, 150,000 litres of fuel went in, didn't it?
Does anyone have anything to
enough.
say about Humza? Shall we move on?
I think we can move on.
Peter Bone faces some very serious allegations. Does he not? The independent expert panel has reported a complainant who was a member of staff in Mr. Bone's Westminster office, and the allegations cover behaviour in 2012 and 2013. Ava, you've been going through this report. What are the key points of it?
Well, pretty key point. It was originally reported in 2015. A complaint was made by the complainant's father to Cameron. 2017, that went to May. By 2022, the complainant quite understandably lost faith in the investigation. And now they finally concluded it in 2023. So that's how many years? 8 years later after the original complaint was made. I'll just read you out. So also, just to preface this by saying Peter Bone has put out a statement and denied all of the allegations. His appeal was listed in the report where he denied all of them. I'll just read a couple of them. Allegation number 1, Bone verbally belittled, ridiculed, abused and humiliated the complainant. It gets really bad here. He imposed an unwanted and humiliating ritual on the complainant, namely instructing or physically forcing the complainant to put his hands in his lap when Bone was unhappy with him or his work. Bone repeatedly pressurised the complainant to give him a massage in the office. This was deemed bullying, but not sexual misconduct. Bone indecently exposed himself to the complainant on an overseas trip, initially in the bathroom of the hotel they were sharing, and then in the bedroom. The commissioner concluded this was sexual misconduct. He then ostracised the complainant on other occasions.
Yeah, there's this line, right, about the exposing himself in the bathroom, that they were on a trip to Madrid as part of his role as the co-chair of the all-party parliamentary group on human trafficking, and Bone booked a twin room for both of them, tried to keep the beds together, and on one occasion in the bathroom exposed his genitals close to the complainant's face. This is, it's just all incredibly grim stuff, really.
Grim, compounded by the insane amount of time that's taken for the investigation to be completed, which I feel like you talk about this. One talks about this every few months about an MP doing something absolutely atrocious to members of staff, and parliamentary procedure maybe perhaps not being good enough. It must be incredibly disheartening to be perhaps a victim or something like this, or just someone in Parliament who might be vulnerable, and thinking that if something happens to you and you see this process having taken 10 years, what if your boss does something to you and you know that the investigation won't be concluded till 2033, would you bother?
Yeah. It's also worth noting that at the time of record, Sunak has not removed the whip. So he is still a Conservative MP at the moment, which is quite extraordinary.
Do you think the Conservative Party politics play any role in the kind of time that it's taken to get this dealt with?
I think you can give Sunak the benefit of the doubt that today he might have been preparing the Israel-Gaza. I mean, he's just come off the back of meeting President Sisi. He's just, he's been up in Jordan. He's been pretty busy, hasn't he? So benefit of the doubt. But past performance would indicate that the Conservative Party do tend to obfuscate and take their time on allegations of sexual misconduct.
There's a bit in the report which was quite extraordinary. So the authors of the report, they commented on how extraordinary this was. Peter Bone gave them the impression that under Conservative Party procedure, he would be given the opportunity to cross-examine the victim in their investigation.
Bone would?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Which is absolutely an incredible exercise.
Yeah, that feels like a pretty serious failure of safeguarding, doesn't it?
Yeah.
If that was the case.
Oh.
Yeah. I mean, Pincher was probably the ultimate example of how you do not deal with sexual misconduct. And you'd think you'd look to that and go, do you know, we should probably not replicate that again. It did actually bring down a government.
Yeah.
Purely on a political PR basis, maybe dealing with your sexual complaints in a timely manner would be quite good.
Yeah, but it's incredible that they just have this. So the Pincher stuff would have happened while this investigation was ongoing.
A lot has happened whilst this investigation was ongoing.
This colours every single one.
Well,
of the.
He was even appointed Deputy Leader of the House of Commons while this was ongoing. Deputy Leader of the House of Commons.
Oof.
The mother of all parliaments.
So the sub-panel has recommended a 6-week suspension. 6 weeks. Bone is appealing that sanction as well. He's appealing all of this. He denies all of it, right?
Yeah.
Some of his statements say, as I've maintained throughout these proceedings, none of the misconduct allegations against me ever took place. They are false and untrue claims. They are without foundation. He denies the findings of the report and announced that he's in discussion with his lawyers about taking action.
Mm-hmm. Well, anyway, this will go to the Commons now and they'll vote on it. Likely they will vote it through.
If it's a 6-week suspension, then it's a by-election, right?
Yeah.
Because it's, what is it?
Need a recall? Is it automatic by-election?
After 10 days.
Well, it'd be likely that I would have thought he would have stood down by now anyway.
Isn't it? I might be completely making this up. Isn't it? If you're suspended for more than 10 days, then you have to.
That's recall.
Yeah.
Automatic recall?
I'm trying to think about how long you need to be absent from the House of Commons.
We should absolutely know this.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. It's interesting, isn't it? I did an interview with Chris Bryant over the summer, who until recently was sort of quite closely involved with all of the standards within Parliament, and his sort of view was actually that they do I would say not good enough, but like that they're getting better at dealing with these sorts of things, and that you have to kind of trust the process, and that eventually they do come to the right decision, and that they just perhaps take longer than necessarily they would want to, but that things are moving in the right direction.
I also wonder as well if it's a new culture in which these things are deemed unacceptable.
Okay.
As in, like, 15 years ago, people talk about, who was it that said they were groped by a MP in 2001? There was a female MP, I can't remember who it was.
Caroline Noakes, was it, by Stanley Johnson?
I know who I mean. I'm picturing it begins with an F. He was a senior Tory MP. Touched up, yes.
I don't know if that's what I'm referring to.
So annoying. I can literally see it in my head. It's an M and an F.
Michael Fallon.
That's it.
But whoever the female MP was didn't feel they could bring that forward. And so now it's becoming something in which the gears have suddenly had to click into motion, and it's not as maybe a smooth sailing thing as it would be.
I mean, just flat out, it can't take 8 years, right? So
No,
something has obviously gone wrong, right?
Yes, that's extraordinary.
Something has obviously gone wrong. So that means another bloody by-election.
Ruddy hell.
I know this is probably like the most. It's not the most. It's not the least relevant thing, because obviously the most relevant thing. The most relevant thing is that, you know, hopefully the person involved in this there can be some kind of resolution reached, and, you know, get a bit of closure. But it possibly means yet another by-election for the Conservative Party. And obviously the makeup of the Parliament is quite relevant to our course as a democracy. So
being chipped away slowly.
Yeah, piece by piece.
Absolutely.
Inch by inch.
I can't find it.
Okay.
All I know is Ferrier, she was immediate out.
Yes.
But she had a 90-day suspension.
So that'll be another. Peter Bone's in Wellingborough, isn't he? That's his constituency. And now we've got Mid-Beds and Tamworth.
Nadine and Pincher.
Fucking hell.
Two icons of late-stage Johnsonism.
Yeah.
They're two of the Mount Rushmore of Johnsonism.
Two of the four horsemen of the apocalypse.
Absolutely. There were 3 and 4. Sunak.
Yeah, Sunak was one. I kind of feel like you want Priti Patel to be one.
I would argue Bema Falami.
What?
Okay, why?
Resigning on live TV.
Oh yeah, he did do that, didn't he?
Yeah.
On Talk TV.
Fucking hell, those were heady days.
That's my Rushmore. Doris, Pincher, Aflami.
No, I don't think BIM is representative of that government.
No, but as in the downfall of Johnsonism.
I'm not just blanket defending him now. Forever.
Sounds like it.
No, but I think he's actually very far removed from that.
No, but I'm not saying Johnson is. I mean, like, the fall of Boris Johnson is the point that I'm making. If
You're,
Sunak's there,
you're saying, like, who are the main characters?
They are
in the mere. Look, you're doing physical talking now as
I'm
well.
a trained actor.
You actually are as well, though, aren't you?
That's not even a bit true.
Performed at the Fringe.
I did.
One man show?
No. Many men show.
Just how I like it.
Yeah.
Many men show.
Many men. Me and my merry men.
It's mad that Dory's just hung on for that long, isn't it?
Quite funny.
It's
So I
extraordinary.
thought she was trying to time it so that the by-election was the week before the conference.
She was just trying to piss everyone off.
Yeah, I think she wanted to humiliate. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good Dory's impression, actually.
You know, the new candidate's big pledge is that the Conservative candidate is that he's going to be present and visible. Those are like his 2 pledges. He's like, guys, I'm actually going to be around here.
I'll be around if you want to chat.
They couldn't name anything in Mid-Beds that Doris had done. Apparently, she tried to take credit for some disabled access ramp that they put up in Flitwick Station. And I said this to a constituent, and he was actually like, "That was not her." I was like, "Oh, sorry."
What else did you find from your time in Flitwick? How was it?
It's
How was the disabled ramp? Did you use it when you left from the train station?
Well, I did actually, but it was only because I didn't see the stairs, and it's a really long way around. So whoever designed that really, actually, you know, people are taking probably an extra 10 minutes to get into that station, as I found.
They didn't think about the people who can walk.
Yeah.
When they designed that disabled access ramp.
It's
It's woke, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Woke politics
Woke
gone
gone
mad.
mad.
woke. It's the main area is a proper market town. It's very very Tory, safe seat area. I'd be really surprised. Well, I still am surprised why Labour are really fighting for it. I think it should be the Lib Dems could get in there. I think quite naturally. You got people there who are socially progressive but fiscally conservative. You know, they could get on board with the old Nick Clegg style of Lib Demming. Oh, we're not going to feed the hungry, but we like the gays.
Poll conducted by Survation for the Labour Together think tank shows Labour and the Conservatives are tied on 29% and the Lib Dems on 22%.
Gosh.
And then
It's a narrow field.
Stay beside Ed.
Because what could be, what could happen is if one of them don't step aside, is that you basically just cuck each other and the Tories steal the seat.
I think that's braver.
Well, hilariously, that's actually what the local Conservative Association are hoping for. They're like, no, keep them fighting. This is fine.
There's been a few electoral pacts, or like non-official electoral pacts, right, between Labour and the Lib Dems when these by-elections have all come at once.
Yeah, cowards, have a go. You think you should be Prime Minister?
But I think a lot of that was linked to funding, right? So now, sorry, is this boring?
No,
It's
not at all.
really boring.
No, no, I'm just listening.
Oh, really?
Sorry, is that how I look?
Yeah, so it's really disconcerting.
Keep going, Ava.
I mean, this time last year, the party was broke, Labour Party, and they couldn't fight elections. So even when you looked up to Scotland, the reason that Labour weren't going to take Scotland, quote unquote, was because they couldn't afford to do an election campaign in each constituency. So when it came to Tiverton and Honiton and Mid Cheshire, it wasn't so much, Lib Dems are going to win there. It was more, we actually cannot afford to do a campaign in both constituencies. So Lib Dems can take that one. And now they're raking in more donations than the Conservative Party. So they're like, oh, boys, strap in. We're going campaigning.
We can afford leaflets again.
It's not just that. It's, you've got to pay for like a hub.
Yeah.
It costs a lot. You've got to put the deposit down. If you're not even going to
That's like
make that
500
back.
quid, isn't it?
Is that all it is? No, it's 5,000, isn't it?
Something else we should absolutely know.
It's inflation.
Yeah.
It's inflation.
What do the people of Flitwick think of Nadine Dorries?
Well, actually, there wasn't very many people I could find in Flitwick, so I went up the road. Well, that's something I should have remembered where I went.
Is it Amped Hill?
No, where did I go? Laura, were you there?
I cannot save you.
It was you, Ollie Johnson, I think.
Marston.
Marston.
You went up the road to Marston?
Yeah, I saw there was a Waitrose. I thought that'll do.
And what is
Do shopping, then go home.
what did the good people of Marston think of Nadine Dorries?
Well, actually, a lot of them didn't realise she was the MP or didn't realise she was still the MP. Or the few who did know who she was say, was she not the one on I'm a Celebrity? To which
Yeah.
I said, yes, great season.
Absolutely. Who else was on with Nadine?
I don't know.
I thought you were being earnest about your season.
No.
Sorry.
Lembit Opik did I'm a Celeb.
Yes, he did.
Yes?
Matt Hancock.
But Lembit Opik, like destroyed his career on that. Well, because it was doing so well before that, actually. Sorry.
The cheeky girl dumped him as a result.
How
That would be
mad is that?
devastating, wouldn't it?
Being dumped by a cheeky girl.
Yeah.
You
Absolutely.
kind of
No
do,
longer a cheeky boy.
do you want both? Is that what you want?
Like a throuple.
Well, I don't know. You're a man.
Would I personally like to be in a relationship with both cheeky girls?
I asked what I asked.
Are they not?
Obviously.
Are they?
I'm just a man. I'm a human.
Are they not
Puma.
sisters?
Yeah. The twins, aren't they? It's weird.
Yeah, it feels a bit.
Let's not pretend we haven't all seen the Porn Boys.
Of porn.
Oh my God, that reminds me.
Of porn?
Someone put on Twitter over the weekend, the only night, like in between all of the absolutely awful content, there was just this tweet in the middle glowing, which was, the caption was, interesting twist on Two Girls, One Cup. And it was like in Zara, like a W had fallen off the signage. So it said like 2 men, 1 omen. I lightly cracked a smile and then went back to the business. You know?
Okay. Had enough. Back in.
Bookmark that for later.
To think about it. In a moment of light relief.
Yeah. Anyway, Reform think they're going to do well in mid-beds.
Is it?
Yeah.
Why?
Good for them.
Who's
the
I think
candidate?
we're going to go up there. When is it, the by-election?
Did you not speak?
Thursday. Yeah.
Did you not speak to, in your Reform documentary piece, the guy who, when you said to him, what does Reform stand for?
He was West Worcestershire.
Oh, not Mid-Beds. Okay, he was West
It's
Worcestershire.
such a random seat. I was like, that one.
Yep. That's all.
it's like this super safe blue ribbon, you know? And he's like, yeah, we'll take it.
That's mine.
Yeah.
That was iconic.
I actually felt really bad for him, you know?
I felt bad for him as well. Do you know when you're watching an interview take place and it's so cringe-inducing?
Yeah.
Often when it's on, you know, whether it's in the edit suite or one of you guys are sending me something for review, I often, like, I can't bear to I'm like looking down, listening with my headphones on, because I couldn't look at it. Like, you could, when you see someone, like, he just wants the floor to swallow up.
Yeah.
Open up and swallow him. And so then when someone walked past, he tried to be like, would you like to use the cash machine? Oh, we'll have to move out the way, so, you know, because I'm just doing an interview here.
That's sweet and earnest until you hear the bit off camera where they're trying to take your cash away from you just to let you know. I was like, oh, God.
Turned it into a stump speech.
Yeah.
Did he say that?
Yeah, no, true. That's like one of their main pledges.
Keep cash.
Keep cash, yeah.
End the cashless society.
Have we talked on here about that guy who keeps using keeps travelling around trying to spend his £100 gold coin?
You did mention it, yeah.
Well, I'm not over it, Ollie.
What, just in general? Just his vibe?
He's bought it, like this, like sovereign.
Oh, we did talk about this. We talked about £5 coins.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because technically legal tender, but just because it's legal tender doesn't mean they have to accept it.
Absolutely not.
Yeah. That could be a really good Vox for us, actually.
What?
You just screaming over a £5 coin in various newsagents. All of these people who've got
It's not
real
really a
shit to
Vox.
worry about.
It's me having a breakdown. I mean, publish it for content.
I think that would be your natural story arc.
What, becoming a cashless
Joe.
society again?
Yeah. you progress from, Vox hopping, producing really interesting mid-form documentaries on PoliticsJOE YouTube channel, to then going full send, like Rumble, Telegram guy. They want to take your fivers away from you.
I actually see it more as I'm live on Facebook talking about Magna Carta.
With one of the selfie stick headset.
People who come up to us and say they really like our YouTube channel. Like that vibe.
A lot of those people are really nice.
You've got like this
Yeah, 'cause
ambient lights.
You've got to say that.
They are. I, for one, enjoy Ed's been away on holiday, decided to come back. He's going to wage war on the audience.
Oh, I've got nothing but contempt for them. You've read the YouTube comments.
Yes, I have. Yeah.
He's burnt by a comment earlier, which said
Oh,
Ollie,
yeah.
Ava, and that guy.
Yeah,
The other guy.
I had a really positive view of them until that. I had a nice interaction with, when I was outside the Conservative Party conference, there was a man air flyering, and a lot of these people...
Air frying.
Flyering?
What's air flyering?
When did I say air? I said flyering.
Sorry.
I think I might have said air flyering.
We've got another record after this, so you're going to have to really get used to me.
But he was, a lot of these people are like anti-abortion campaigners or stuff like that. Stuff you don't really want to interact.
My people.
Yeah, you were there. That's where I saw you. That's how we met.
That's when I interviewed you at Tory Party conference. You must remember.
You were dressed up as that fetus.
But he
Silently praying.
he said, "Can I speak?"
Then
to you?"
arrested.
He was like, "Oh, can I speak to you about what I'm campaigning for?" And I was kind of with some hesitation, like,
Always sus.
yeah. But he was campaigning to keep drama, music, and art as subjects in school. I thought it was a
Oh,
pleasant
that's
surprise.
earnest.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
was really nice. And he was
I like that.
Stopping, MPs were walking by, he was stopping to talk to them about it.
The kids need the arts.
Yeah,
Oh.
which I agree. I would think that's a sentiment we
Why
can
does
all
that
get
make me
behind.
so upset?
Oh, it was just nice. It was like very
Really hit
earnest.
me.
You okay?
I didn't cry that. Sorry.
I love literally like riffing on like the anti-abortion
Yeah.
campaigners being like, yeah, he's silently praying and he's been arrested, dickhead. And then you're like, and then you're like, there was a man asking for us to continue teaching drama. And you're like,
It's pretty upset.
Listen, Ava has genuine tears in her eyes.
I hate shit like that. Like he's probably been playing
oh my God, are you okay?
Sorry.
Did you fail your drama GCSE?
What was he wearing? Like, is it
What was he wearing?
No, but was it like a little three-piece
Get ready
tweed
with me
suit or
to pick
something?
at the Tory Party conference.
He was wearing like, it was quite like an old manny outfit.
I
It
hope
was
he's
like
got, oh God.
Like he was wearing like a waterproof jacket.
Oh my God, that's gonna
And at some
I
point,
hope he's got a partner. Can you tell me what's there?
Ava, this
What was the relevance of the story? Why were you telling that?
Oh, because
Why have you done this to her?
do you know what he gave me? Widower vibes.
What?
Widower vibes. I thought it might upset you more.
What's that?
A widower.
Oh, why would you say that? Okay. Sorry.
He also had terminal cancer. I made that up.
This is dark. Well, it's great to have you back, Ed. Glad you're here.
Do you think we should have drama in school?
Yeah, why not?
Yeah.
I don't want to see Ava this upset, so yeah.
No, sorry.
This would be a very effective campaign ad for them.
Oh my God. Yeah.
It's just so honest, isn't it? It's just so honest.
What's happened?
It's a return of sincerity to British politics. Ava can't handle it. Do you want to talk about SNP conference?
Yeah.
Now we'll make him cry.
Yeah, let's. Good news.
Tell me,
They've sussed it.
what is it?
They've worked out how they're going to get Scottish independence.
Fucking, I am all ears.
You won't believe this. It turns out, if they win a majority of the vote at the next Westminster election,
Yeah.
the Scottish government will open negotiations with the UK government about Scottish independence. They did it. They finally cracked it. I can't believe it.
We'll come back to this in a moment. I just want to, on a personal note, want to talk to you about this because you've been on a bit of a journey from wanting to sort of neither enrage or provoke either the Nats or the Yuns.
Yeah.
And now you're full hard on the paint. You guys are fucking idiots.
No, but I don't know
Taking
which
the piss
side
out
you
of
want.
Because it's dumb. Because they're like, it's so insincere. Wait, can we do a role play of
Yeah.
the negotiations?
Yeah, you be Humza, I'll be Rishi.
Oh, can I be Rishi?
Okay.
You be Hamza,
Why do you want to be Rishi so bad?
because I've got.
Well, you
punchline.
don't. Yeah.
Oh, okay, sorry, you've workshopped it. You've workshopped it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Come in.
Mr. Prime Minister.
Ah, Hamza. He doesn't call him First Minister. He calls him Hamza.
Yeah, to keep him in place.
Yeah.
You will have seen the election results.
Oh yeah. That's why I'm moving out.
Oh, so you should be Keir Starmer in this.
Sorry. Hang on. Hamza. Sorry.
Sir Keir, thank you for letting me wait for you in your office.
Yeah.
I've been meaning to speak to you about the mandate I have received from the Scottish people.
What?
The mandate I have received from the Scottish people.
Oh, yeah.
I would like to open negotiations for Scottish independence with you.
No.
Please.
That'll be all.
Goodbye.
Scene. That's why we need drama in schools.
That's good.
I thought you were quite good. What
Thank
were you
you.
write? What did you write down?
Hey, I just wrote like
Squiggles.
He was trying to convey that he was a
Acting.
busy man.
Yeah.
I got it. It was yeah.
Subtext.
Did you study drama?
I did.
So I need to study drama.
No,
That's why we
I
need
thought you were
other
excellent as well.
Thank you, Ed.
Yeah, that was great.
Yeah, I thought you did a very impressive Scottish accent.
That would have if your previous remarks didn't piss off the Nats enough, me putting an accent on would certainly do it, I think.
But I wonder if it actually would piss off Nats, because Nats aren't automatically in favour of Hamza Yusuf, the SNP,
Yeah.
the SNP's vehicle towards independence. I imagine, I think there's quite a few nationalist activists or campaigners for independence that would be quite frustrated with this kind of short-termism. I wonder if they would think they should be looking more long-term, because I'm building towards a more sustained campaign. Reset the ground entirely. You can't rely on the goodwill of Nicola Sturgeon anymore. You have to have build, and it's not like Hamza Yusuf is an inspiring
Gradualists versus
incrementalist. No, that's the same thing.
that's the same thing. The two schools of thought.
Yes,
I'm more of an incrementalist than a gradualist, personally.
but I think it must be.
I don't know what is the long-term strategy. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's
But I think that's what I think there isn't one.
Yeah.
I think it's no, the next election will be that's the one. What? How?
is it to just play for time until it really has been a once-in-a-generation vote, and then they can keep doing all this shit again?
Yeah,
Like, it was 20 years ago now, so we're going to go again.
Yeah, but I think if that's a more honest conversation, and I think that's one that maybe the UK would be more willing to have.
Well, they're a bit burnt, aren't they, after that recent by-election? But, I mean, they were getting out Ferrier. You know, she was... What kind of person takes COVID up on a train? You know, people in that constituency were rightly pissed because this wasn't even at the end of it. We weren't even
mid.
second, third wave. We weren't even at Omicron yet. You know, we were on full alpha coronavirus. And she took that sweet... That's not what levelling up meant, hun. We didn't mean take the London disease up there and give it to everyone.
Was it not the other way around? I thought she came to Parliament.
No, didn't she discover she had it? She tested positive when she was down here and she got the train up.
Sorry, you're right.
Yeah.
Couldn't face 10 days in a hotel or whatever.
I know. Oh, 10 days in a state-sanctioned hotel. The taxpayer were going to pay for it and everything.
It's like bloody prison.
Yeah.
That's what she would have said.
I'm surprised she didn't, actually. I think you should be arrested over something like that because that's chemical warfare.
Was she not? I think the police were involved.
Yeah, but she didn't go to prison, did she?
Well, no, I don't think you should go to prison.
That's presumably because they're all full, aren't they now?
Yeah, that was the issue.
You have to kick out, like, you know, what's that guy who keeps beating up everyone? You'd have to kick out Charles Bronson. We've got to make a space for Margaret Ferrier.
I'd rather deport Ferrier than Bronson.
Oh, yeah, Bronson's a national treasure.
I was literally took the words right out of my mouth.
I'm glad I said it. I'd rather
Did we
you
have him
had.
on the podcast?
He could be. There's an open invite to Charles Bronson.
If you're
Whenever he
listening-
wants to be on the podcast. Have you watched the film?
No, no. The Tom Hardy one?
Yeah.
No.
There is a scene. I think this is Bronson, right, where he covers himself in butter.
That's him.
Yeah. He strips naked, lubes himself up top to bottom with butter in order to fight the guards so that they can't grab a hold of him.
That's sick. Would you like to recreate that with him here?
I wouldn't want to take it on until I've taken some drama lessons.
There would be acting, but he feel like actual
Well, no, obviously I do that.
Physical
I do
fight.
it for fun at the weekends, but you know,
Yeah.
I wouldn't.
butter club.
He went in for the most nothing charge at the beginning as well, didn't he?
Wasn't it armed robbery?
Yeah, fucking nothing.
I said what I said.
Yeah, no, but it wasn't a lifetime sentence though, and
Yeah.
he stayed in because he keeps battering people.
Yeah, it wasn't. That's what I mean. It wasn't like, you know.
I like prison. How can I stay?
Didn't he get his heart broken or something like that?
Don't know.
I think he had some external interest in the way that a lot of high-profile prisoners do. You know, they get sort of there's a term for those wives. I can't remember what they're called.
Prison wives, I think they're called.
Could have guessed that.
Yeah.
No, I don't know what they
Like the
are.
later
No,
rating,
honestly, I think they are. No,
the
I
later
think-
rating services and stuff.
Yeah.
You know, you do often read about that, don't you? About the women who get obsessed with. There's like one girl who went over to the States, didn't she, to marry someone who was on death row, and you think, you know, prevent isn't working.
Is that a prevent issue?
Well, she's been radicalised, hasn't she?
But not to like.
Went to believing that she could love a serial killer who's
But
on
I
death
don't
row.
think that's the same as committing an act of terrorism.
I think you'd think differently if you were the brother of the person who'd been murdered by that man. I'm just offering a perspective, Ed.
Okay, I'm going to discard it.
Do we do conjugal visits here in this country?
I don't know.
Is that where they can have sex with each
Yeah,
other?
they go to a room with a bed in it.
I don't know.
They do that in the States, that's for sure.
An interesting video.
We're just pivoting. We're now a porn house. We're a porn
I had
content
sex with
factory.
every prisoner in Belmar. This is what I learned about prison reform.
We should get, one of those tombola machines that's like random auto-generates PoliticsJOE YouTube headlines.
Yeah,
Because that would be one.
that'd be a good one.
That would be a good one.
That's something like Dutch Vice would publish.
Yeah. Not now. Not that the Saudis are involved.
No,
They're not for that sort of thing anymore.
no.
Do you not think?
Gay sex, no.
Oh, that's what you wanted?
If I'm having sex with the population of Belmar,
You don't want the women's wing?
I think the optics of that are worse. I feel like that's interesting, isn't it? Because there's a power imbalance in both situations.
I say in both situations, you are the one with least power. I don't care who they are. Your soft liberal hands, your content man hands, are going to places you don't want them to.
I mean, nah. Just imagine day 3 would be hard.
How would you introduce, him walking in? You know how he does in the morning where he sits down and he goes, hello. You're walking into a cell. Hello.
Hello. Ed. Ugh. Oh, give me a minute.
You got tellies in here.
Anytime you're ready, son. Quite romantic, maybe.
I read in a book, someone covers themselves in butter. I thought I would...
I brought the lurk pack.
Where is it?
God, that Bronson thing would be so expensive to do now, wouldn't it?
What, the butter thing?
You see the price of Lurpak? He's a big man.
He is.
Friends with the Craze?
I wouldn't know.
He claims to be, I think.
No, I think he's actually friends with another gang, but look, I've read.
I don't know any Craig facts.
Yeah, he's more of a Richardson man.
Shall we wrap it up?
Yeah.
Yeah. I've done enough. I've seen roleplay for 1 week.
What was more explicit? You fucking me as Keir Starmer in the independence negotiations.
Yeah.
Or your thought experiment about what would happen to you on day 3 of shacking your way through Belmarsh prison.
Let us know in the comments what was in worst taste.
I can't. There are going to be some absolutely. What's going to happen in the subreddit now?
It was prisoner.
You know
prisoner
what?
69.
Ed's prisoner's dilemma. For most people, it's a zero-sum game theory. For you, it's how many blokes you can make your way through in a day.
Specifically, prisoners in Belmarsh.
How many do you think you get through in a day? Presumably, you're power bottoming.
I guess it depends what they want.
Oh, you're not a top?
I have never had sex with a man, so I don't know.
Only one way to find out. Get it to Belmarsh.
Obviously.
You can't say he's got range. He's got range, hasn't he?
Who? Me?
You, yeah.
Yeah, this is taking a turn.
What about the fuck tree from that Fence article?
I haven't read it yet.
Yeah, why not? Let's plug that. Great new edition of The Fence, Sex and Nature edition. I've enjoyed it. I haven't finished it yet, only a couple of articles in, but the first piece is about the fuck tree.
And we're going there for a live pubcast. That's not a commitment we can make. What other trees would you like us to talk about?
The Sycamore Gap.
Had you
heard of that tree?
I knew you'd have a take like this. I knew you would.
I'd never heard of that tree before.
You must have seen the photo.
Never.
There must be some
No
tree
one.
in Scotland that you
Open
care
your
about.
eyes. Get some culture.
I've got plenty of culture.
Yeah, we wouldn't come up and rip down Holyrood.
What's more important? The Scottish Parliament or one tree?
Yeah,
One
but-
tree. There's your answer.
Day one.
This is how we will
I
negotiate.
think. Yeah. Yeah, very actually. And then we're gonna tear down Holyrood.
You liked your devolution, didn't you? You should have appreciated while you had it.
And we're gonna rebuild the tree.
No, why are you so angry about this?
I just literally never. It was everyone was. I didn't believe the level of outpour about it. I don't believe Eddie Howe cared about it.
You don't care?
Eddie Howe, the Newcastle manager, was sorry, you knew that as a football fan. He was asked to comment on the tree, and he was like, "Oh yeah, it's sad." As he just learned what the fucking tree was, and had to comment as.
Can't you just appreciate objectively that it's a bit nasty that a few kids went and ripped down something that was so important to the Ramblers?
I guess, yeah, but I didn't think it merited the level of news coverage.
Well, you
or
cared a lot about
outpour.
that billionaire who wanted to shut down half of Dartmoor, and then the Ramblers wouldn't be able to ramble through the fields.
That's about your rights as an Englishman.
How is that not the same as the tree?
Because what is that? It's a tree.
It is my God-given right, my God-given succulent right, as an Englishman,
Uh-huh.
to enjoy an ancient sycamore.
Sycamore
You have
Manifest.
a right to do that.
Yes, I do.
No, you don't.
Yes, I do.
Well, but you
Have you read Magna Carta?
Yes, several times live on Facebook.
Do you know what we could do a live podcast from? You know where
The island.
You know the Magna
Where they signed
Carta.
Magna Carta.
Yeah, but maybe I'm not thinking. No, where they've got the chairs. It's like outside West London, like near Surrey, that kind of way.
The island.
There's like
They made him sign it on an island. The
Really?
barons, they rode King John out to an island.
maybe it's not the Magna Carta. No, it is the Magna Carta.
For someone who talks about Magna Carta a lot on Facebook Live, you sure as shit don't know very much about
God,
it.
no way. Someone talking about Magna Carta on Facebook doesn't know the first thing about it.
where they were all round them chairs at a table when they talked about
Are you
it.
talking about King Arthur?
That is rude.
I'm not sure she wasn't.
No, it's somewhere out in southwest London. I'm
Seriously,
sure about
do
it.
you not have you have a problem with the enjoyment of the tree?
I have a problem with. I was skeptical about the level of outrage about a tree that I'd never heard of before.
What do you want us to get angry about instead then?
If there was
The erosion of civil liberties in the UK.
Yeah, Windsor. There's a Magna Carta Park, but they've built a statue that's all these stone chairs, right? Stone chairs to represent where they sat down and discussed the Magna Carta. Hear me out. We all get round that table, live podcast. Me, you, the filth. Hamza Youssef. That's all we need.
When you say the filth, do you mean the police or do you mean him?
He is the police.
And I think
He's the tree police.
Are we changing your nickname to the
What?
filth?
I don't love. It's quite different. It's like that's a Irvin Welsh book, isn't it? Filth. Quite like it then.
Okay.
Quite into that. With a stage name. You have a stage name on it?
Sorry, it's Slug Daddy.
Oh yeah.
Don't know if you heard that. Did you hear that on the recent episode?
No, that was good.
Yeah. If there was like, let's say, a 600-year-old elephant that
Right.
had grown enormous ears and tusks, and someone just went out and shot it one day, would that bother you?
Yeah, it'd be sad. But if it'd been an elephant I'd never heard of before, I'd be, oh, that's sad.
But you know that it's like been photographed a lot. It's like iconic. I think it may have even won like a photo of the year type competition once. Maybe more than
Sorry,
once.
the tree didn't win that.
No,
The photographer did.
Yeah.
But you can take nice photos of other things.
I think you're being facetious.
I think you're being facetious with your level of support for the sycamore tree. Not seen that stupid Robin Hood film either.
Stupid Robin. You're on one today. I don't think you yourself.
What was that,
Are you
what was
coming
that
down with
reference?
something?
What did that mean?
So people kept being like, the film was prominently featured in Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves.
Yeah, but that would be like if you went down and chopped down the 100-acre wood. It'd be quite upsetting, wouldn't it?
Is that real? No.
Yes.
100 Acre Wood?
Yeah.
Oh.
That's the thing about ancient woodland. They're not making any more of it.
Not making any more of it.
You would have chopped that tree down to build HS2.
What the hell is this about?
I don't know. I feel attacked. I think the
What about an extremely large tuna?
Here we go.
this is what they're here for.
Going back to the fail safes.
I feel like we've come very close to ending this episode several times.
Yeah.
I'm just,
I
like,
think we should
lurching
have
away for it.
taken
cut it there.
one of those opportunities. Yeah.
Cut it there.
Thanks very much. See you on the next.